Alright, what is up, YouTube family? It is K-Rod here. I'm here to just give like my quick little insight on the post-fight reaction of Maurice Hooker versus Virgil Ortiz Jr. This is a very good fight. Unfortunately, Maurice Hooker, he had to quit in the fight because oh, shit. Sorry about that. Basically, what happened was that Maurice Hooker, he had to quit in the fight because he had hurt his hand during the fight against Virgil Ortiz in the sixth round. So, unfortunately, Maurice Hooker had gotten injured in the fight that made this fight go to Virgil Ortiz's victory. Um, Honestly, I really enjoyed this fight because this fight was a good fight for those of you that probably didn't watch it. But I just think, to my personal inception of this fight, this was a good fight. I just think, when it comes down to Virgil Ortiz and Maurice Hooker, they obviously had a very good exchange of blows, and it really went to the distance to make it that type of war that many could say is a very good fight. So, the good things that I really enjoyed out of this fight was mainly just due to the fact that Virgil Ortiz, he was keeping his jab up. Maurice Hooker, he was hitting Virgil with some very mean shots, and I actually really thought that Virgil Ortiz had a lot of lapses in his defense, and he just kept getting hit a lot in spots that I thought that shouldn't have been there. And the thing is that Virgil, wait, hold on. Yeah, Virgil, he's a good fighter, but the problem is that, oh shit, hold on. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Brush my teeth. Alright, sorry about that. So basically, with this whole fight, Virgil Ortiz got hit a lot, which made me think that Virgil Ortiz is not really ready for a guy like Terrence Crawford. Because I just wanted to get my quick little insights on how this fight played out, and I wanted to basically break down like my question that I posted in this live stream. If Virgil Ortiz is ready for Terrence Crawford. Overall, the fight was good. I had a lot of fun watching it. I just think Virgil, he's very stationary, and he has too much of that, I guess, pride of using Mexican style, which I think is absolutely garbage, and I think that needs to be reiterated a little bit better. If not, he just needs to fix it up to just using boxing ability, because Virgil Ortiz, he did good. He gave Maurice Hooker a fight. I believe he knocked him out in the 5th round, if I'm not mistaken. And supposedly, people want to say he stopped Maurice Hooker in the 6th, but that's not true. He obviously hit Maurice Hooker, I think to the body or something, but I think his hand got broken. So Maurice Hooker wasn't really able to, um, continue because, his hand was broken. And I guess people just didn't want to hear that. They were disrespecting him, like as if, oh, nah, man, you should just keep on fighting, even though that you got a broken hand. And at any given point in time, while your hand is broken, you can cause some form of infection off your hand due to injury, if not break your arm in the process because your hand is now broken, leading to your wrist and all the bones that are connected to it. So you can easily screw yourself up a lot worse if you had kept on going. And it's like, I'm pretty sure if I'm Maurice Hooker's trainer, which Brian McIntyre, I think Bo Mac, that's what people call him, same guy that trains Terrence Crawford, if I'm in that position looking at my fighter saying, hey, look, coach, my hand's broken, I don't think I can continue, I'm going to wave that off too. I'm going to say, nah, look, we're not going to continue. This is dangerous for a fighter, and it's not worth our risk of trying to fight more when we know that that is not how boxing works. Yes, I understand. Like if you got like a really mean cut on the forehead, and the referee or the doctor may say, "Hey, this is not good. We don't want you to keep on going." Yeah, I can understand that, but the issue is just that you know if a fighter is still able to fight and they're able to withstand the damages in the process of using proper defense or mechanisms to keep themselves alive in the fight, then yeah, that can easily sway in their path, because that's really what holds back so many people in boxing fights, where these fighters that be banging, they be leaving themselves wide open to get hit, and come to find out, these fighters really end up with massive brain trauma or some form of body injury that destroys their whole physical capabilities to survive. And it's just horrible. And that's how I saw it with Virgil. I mean, Virgil's a good fighter. I'm not gonna put anything against him or hold anything against him. I think he has very good skills, but the issue, still remains that Virgil, he has so many flaws and setbacks that I just don't think Virgil, he should really start fighting upper echelons. Not yet, but I do like his energy that he's willing to fight anyone, at any given time, and if the opportunity's there, he'll just take it. And I think that's a good way to build up a fighter, but I think it's somehow somewhat a bad idea to put a fighter in there with a crafty veteran and a high class elite fighter at the level that they could possibly beat you, or you could possibly beat them. But it would have to be to the degree of you having more boxing knowledge in the ring to break the guy down and drastically beat the fighter to an extent where you win the fight with intellectual ease. Because that's really what makes a champion in boxing. You just have to be smart in the ring. And as you just keep getting better in your fights, you're going to understand at the championship level, especially when you're going to unify or become a new champion at a new weight division, you have to you have to understand, like your style. You have to understand, like the weight differentials from 126 pounds to 140 pounds. That's a huge deficit that you have to battle through. And a lot of people don't tend to see that, because they just think like, oh well, when you move up in weight, it shouldn't be that bad with how your power converts to different weight classes. But not every fighter is built like that, because their body can only take a certain amount of weight that it can hold, and then once you drain that out, by using or by cutting weight for your fight, it's a whole different ball game because the adrenaline kicks in and everything else factors into what you eat or what you put inside your body. And I mean, especially when fighters that cheat, like Tyson Fury, with his steroid BS, he's somehow able to burn fat quicker than muscle, knowing that he doesn't have any muscle, he just has fat, and he's like burning that so quick. But in the end, it's the drugs that are keeping him alive to even be successful in that manner. But even though what I'm basically just saying is that for a guy like Virgil Ortiz, he's a great fighter. His dedication is high. But I think what was shown with his performance against Maurice Hooker, it wasn't really that good. Got hit way too many times. It should not have been like that. I think if Virgil wanted to stop him, you should have just outboxed him. I think that's really Virgil's weakness. He doesn't have the ability to adapt. And he did not do that against Maurice. Maurice obviously got injured. He said F you to the fans because the fans don't understand. And I'm with him on that because, Maurice Hooker, he didn't get stopped. He just broke his hand. And for anyone that, for all you racist Mexican, dick writers that are probably going to say, nah, man, that black guy, he got stopped by Virgil, blah, blah, blah. Virgil Ortiz is like the new man on the block for 147. Like, no, he's not. Like, Maurice Hooker could have stopped Virgil Ortiz, but the problem was that Virgil Ortiz, I would say due to his pressure and just due to the punches that Maurice gave out to Virgil, that's really what put Virgil in a comfortable position for him to win, which he didn't even win. He just won by the fighter not being able to continue due to injury. And I think that makes perfect sense of how I would call this fight as a ref. Virgil Ortiz did not win by a mean knockout. It wasn't like, oh, he knocked out Maurice Hooker. People want to say that he did, but obviously if you look at the final knockdown that Maurice Hooker was in, it was mainly due to his hand being broken, because he said his hand was broken and he's not able to move it. So he said, no, I'm not gonna fight no more. And I don't blame him, because he has to go through more punishment as he keeps that hand intact inside the glove. And if it's not in a healed position or a healed state where you don't have as much proper protection around the hand, and it's probably going to cause more damage if you keep fighting, you're gonna break your hand, and you'll most likely break your arm, because that's going to throb on the on the shoulder part of your arm, and you're going to have tensions being built up from the wrist and other tendons and muscles and bones that could be affected. So the inside infection of the arm is definitely not worth it. But either way, it's just the lack of defense that Virgil Ortiz fears to me that makes me think that he's gonna get knocked out soon. And shout out to Blue Blood Sports TV, but I really do think Terrence Crawford should not even go that direction. If Virgil Ortiz were to say, oh, I want to fight Terrence Crawford now, blah, blah, blah. Well, if Terrence Crawford does give Virgil the opportunity, which I think if I'm Terrence Crawford, I would do it if he was my mandatory, but he's not. And that's why everybody wants to see him versus Sean Porter, because Virgil Ortiz is not a viable target if I'm Terrence Crawford. But even if I wanted to go that Terrence Crawford logic route of just fighting a guy that's not even worth to be on my level, then what do I gain from it if I beat him? So that's really the issue with having a Virgil Ortiz fight for Terrence Crawford. It's the same thing with Jaron Ennis. Unless there are mandatories, I can see it happening. Or if the champion does select them, it would still be good fights, but it's just not worth, the efforts. And I just think that due to the level of competition there is at 147, I just don't think Virgil has what it takes to be at that level, because he gets hit drastically too much, and I think that is a bad idea if you're trying to survive, especially in tougher boxing fights. And I don't think people understand the severity of the boxing fight, especially when you're going 12 rounds and you don't know what's going to be the next step. So, sorry. I just think that the sport of boxing, obviously needs a proper structure when it comes to fighters stepping up. Because, if you see it in like Fight Night Champion on the Xbox 360, PS3, and the cross-compatible platform for PS4 and Xbox One, they had proper rankings through ESPN. That was just a primary example of the fighters that you have to beat if you wanted to become number one in your in your division. And the only thing that was missing from it was just making sure that you had let the right interest with the opponent that wants you the most, so that way all the best fights can be made. Because if the best fights aren't made, then your reputation is going down as a fighter, so you have to fight tougher names just to get back into the mix. And I think that's really the problem with today's boxing. People like Virgil Ortiz is being moved properly through Oscar De La Hoya, but the issue still remains of his decisions of where he wants to bring his career, and there's too many issues that could be made about what could happen for his career. And I think Oscar's doing a good job, but the only way Virgil could really ever determine if he's ready for that world title is to put him in there with a lion like Terrence Crawford. Because if Terrence Crawford, I swear to God, if he were to give Virgil a fight right now, I think Virgil gets stopped, but his career could be over. Because, the issue with Virgil Ortiz is that he does not have that much good defense, and he does not move around the ring like Terrence Crawford. Like, Crawford is a very, very quick fighter. Like, he has that speed similar to, I don't even want to say Tommy the Hitman Hearns, because Tommy Hearns was way more slick on his punches, but when he moves, he catches you when he moves. Like, that is how deadly a Tommy Hearns was, hitting a guy like Roberto Duran in the face, and he makes it look so easy, but the timing is so perfect. Like, it's so pitched to close perfect. Like, you see something out of Mortal Kombat. I don't know, but basically with Terrence Crawford, he is like that S-level type of fighter that many would say not a lot of fighters can do. But it could be challenged because guys like Sean Porter and Keith Thurman want to fight him. And unfortunately, Bud did not even go earlier within his career to kind of go those routes, because he could have easily faced Sean Porter or Keith Thurman probably back in the day. I'm not too sure if Keith Thurman fought at 140, but even if Crawford wanted to make his decision of where he wanted to go at 147, he should have went with Keith Thurman, because Errol Spence told him to clean up his side of the street, and then Errol said he'll clean up his side of the street. So basically, if Crawford had went for Keith Thurman, then the battle for Undisputed would have been solidified a long time ago, because Errol Spence would have all the belts collected. And I mean, before Manny Pacquiao even came into the talks, it would just be Terrence Crawford being the champion, and then Terrence Crawford would have been fought. I'd probably say either Danny Garcia or Sean Porter for the WBC. But if Crawford really wanted to go after the WBO, which it probably would have just been, who's that one guy? I forgot what the guy's name, but basically, it was just good to have, that structure built, because, that whole area that, man, I'm sorry, like, the one area that has, man, I can't even think straight, but basically, let me just finalize this. Virgil Ortiz, he's a good fighter, but he needs more time before he ever gets into the ring with Crawford. But if it's now, I got Terrence Crawford by 5th or 6th round KO. But if Virgil can make sure that he gets everything prepared and completed for a Terrence Crawford, I don't think Virgil, would ever have any issues per se, because that's what people are being built for in this, type of environment. But yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have a good day, and I will see y'all later. Alright, thank you, and goodbye.